My name is Olive Mumbo. I'm the country lead in charge of Ocean Centers Kenya, an initiative that is hosted by the United Nations Global Compact and supported by Lloyd's Register Foundation. Today's workshop was basically focusing on a culmination of the 4 action areas which Ocean Centers has been put together to just come across. We are 7 of us globally, and each one of us has a mandate to focus on 4 action areas, being shipping and ports, fishing and aquaculture, finance and investment, and offshore renewables. And we've held so far 7 workshops in different parts of the country. And we finally came to Diani for our 8th workshop, which is just basically a culmination of all these 4 action areas. And we had the first half of the workshop focusing on fishing and aquaculture, because that's the primary aspect where Diani culture and the communities really rely on in terms of their source of livelihood. And then we had the second part of the workshop, which is focusing on the other 3 action areas, being offshore renewables, finance and investment, and shipping and ports.
I want to welcome you to this community workshop on Diani's shipping ports, shipping and ports, finance and investment, offshore renewable energies, and fishing and aquaculture. So we are honored here to have representative from Diani, Charlie County. Are they present? State Department for Blue Economy and Fisheries, Energy and Petroleum Authority, Kenya Maritime Authority, financial institution investors, private sectors, and Ocean and Global Compact Network, and also community representative that include in the beach unit management, youth women groups, and Fisher Association. So before I start, we shall have some ground rules, especially for those who are joining us via online. Kindly, for those people who are joining us via online, kindly mute your microphones. And then if you want to comment or ask questions, kindly use the chat box. And also use your raised hand so that you can contribute. And for those who are here in person, kindly speak during designated moments, respect time allocation, and encourage inclusive and respectful dialogues, because everyone will want to talk, but it is upon one person at a time. And also kindly ensure that this is a participatory and inclusive workshop. All voices matters, and especially the community's perspective. So without further ado, this workshop is particularly important because it moves us from dialogue to action. And today our main objectives are retrieve and validate missing insights and data gaps across all 4 sectors, which I've just mentioned, that is offshore, renewable energies, fishing and aquaculture, finance and investment, and shipping ports, and also identify key safety operational and investment challenges, and then also develop practical actionable recommendations, ensure inclusive participation, contribute directly to the National Ocean Center's Kenya report. So through this session, as I've had said, through my hails to you, I want you to introduce yourself, say your name, your organization, your sector, and your expectation for today.
Okay, good morning. My name is Mohammed Ali Mwachausa. I'm representing Samba Sports Youth Trust. One of our signature activity is annual Diani Beach Zero Plastic Pollution Festival, which we hold every June during the World Oceans Day, or between the World Environment Day and the World Oceans Day. We did it for 2 years, and with the great outcomes. As per my expectations, I wanted to see what other opportunities for collaboration that we can find from this meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. My name is Stephen Odhiambo. I represent Karibu Experiences. Karibu Experiences, we are a local touristic experience curator for East Africa, but of course we are based here in Diani. And what we do is we sell local experiences that are mostly, marine based. Think of boat rides, things like jet ski and all that. So basically, my expectation is to, I know is this is more of shipping and aquaculture and all that. But as I know, in sustainability, it's more of cross-cutting. So I believe we are going to network, and we see how we can, complement each other, not compete. So that, because tourism also contributes to sustainability in a very big way, through, you have to ensure that we don't degrade, whatever we are selling. That is the corals and all that. So my expectation is to see how we can collaborate and complement each other. Thank you very much.
My name is Ali Shibwana Bwana. I'm coming from representing Blue Economy Network Kenya, which is operating in the entire coastal region based at Mombasa. My expectation is to know more about Global Impact Network and the Ocean Center Kenya.
Hello, I'm Sabrina Omar I'm representing Diani for Divers. And we are doing marine conservation through coral reef restoration. And my expectation is to learn more in this oil session of Global Compact. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sandra Keter. I'm also a member of Reef Divers Diani. We do coral restoration and marine conservation. And my expectation for today is to get the different perspectives of the other stakeholders in this room, but also to know how coral restoration projects can support Ocean Connect centers and Global Connect.
Morning, my name is Dempsey, Diani Turtle Watch. So what we do is we protect sea turtles nesting within the Diani Charlie Marine Reserve, and we also engage community in the whole protection by creating awareness with them, and then also strengthening, rather shifting the narrative from exploitation of marine resources and wildlife into protecting. So I think my main expectation is developing, or rather strengthening, coordination between stakeholders. Yeah.
Good morning. My name is Lillian. I come from Coral Spirit. We're a tour company based in Diani Beach, and we offer water-based activities and ecotourism around Diani. I came here because in the blue economy space, there's so many voices or so many activities happening within the ocean, and we are one of the people who are earning our means from the ocean. So I'm here to seek partnerships. For example, I've seen the Any Turtle Watch, and I never knew about you guys. So after this, I think we are going to talk and see how we can include you in our tours. Thank you.
Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Tivula Gube, and I represent Revolution Trust that is based in Shimoni, and we do coral reef restoration. So Revolution is our coral reef restoration is one of the biggest coral reef restoration project in East Africa. And I'm here specifically to learn, to network, and also to have fun.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Bakari Suleiman Muse. I'm presenting marine catch. We're dealing with fishing and aquaculture.
Good morning. My name is Kennedy Kitavi. I'm representing Marine Catch Africa. My expectations is more opportunity to collaborate and coordination between stakeholders.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Judy Njino, Executive Director at the Global Compact Network Kenya. It's a pleasure hosting all of you. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Lea Mainye, and I represent the Olive Ridley Project Kenya as the Assistant Program Manager. And our work basically is protecting sea turtles and their habitats. That's from underwater part of it. the scuba diving. And also we engage with communities in regards to finding solutions to mitigating bycatch, and as well as engaging schools and students. We also host the Diani Sitato Festival, which happens in June. My expectation is networking, collaboration, and also learning from other partners who are in this room, and also getting to understand more on fishing and aquaculture, because it does touch most of our works as well.
My name is Binti Rashid Bashiru Shauri from Samba Sports Youth Trust, and my department is climate action, and my expectations are networking and to learn more.
Good morning. My name is Hezron Getty. I'm a fisheries officer in Kwale County. I'm from Sambweni Sub-County, Manning, Kinondo Ward. I'm here representing the Department of Fisheries, and we deal with our BMUs just to make sure that our resources are sustainably used, and that we enforce the law, the fisheries law, just to make sure that our fishermen and all who do fish and fish products align and in accordance with the law. My expectation today is that I just want to see where our BMUs and our local community fit in all this discussion, just to make sure that they are taken care of, and to make sure that their lives standards are improved. Thank you.
I know there's some people who have joined us via online. Kindly, if you could just let them just introduce themselves.
And online, I can see a few of our participants. Perhaps we could start with Alfred Rono.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. My name is Alfred Rono. I work with Revolution Trust as the senior project manager. Basically, we deal with coral reef restoration and ocean conservation. So just like the rest have said, my expectation is to see how this exercise fits into the ocean conservation.
Thank you so much. Next, we have Cyrus Thiongo.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. My name is Cyrus Thiongo. I am the country for engineering Kenya, and I'm here to network and collaborate with the fellow members. Thank you.
Wonderful. Welcome, Cyrus. Next, we have Elijah. Elijah, if you could introduce yourself.
Hi, morning, everyone. My name is Elijah Ngoa. I'm the coordinator for the Tuna Fisheries Alliance of Kenya. I'm looking forward to learn what is going to come out of this meeting. As you know, the blue economy space is blooming. Everyone is getting in, and we have to get things in order to ensure sustainability and the well-being of the resource users. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Elijah. We have Frederick Kungu.
Thank you so much, and greetings, everyone. My name is Fred Kungu. I work with the African Group of Negotiators Expert Support. I lead our work in marine, ocean, and blue economy. Basically, what we do is support ocean climate negotiations, but also implementation of the climate policies on the ground through projects. Happy to join this meeting and learn about what is happening in Diani. Thank you.
Lovely, welcome. We then have Jacqueline Mwatela.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm part of the Sanlam team, but more of the eager one. I just want to learn more about the blue economy. Thank you.
It's wonderful having you here. Next, we have Martha Naikumi. Hi, Martha. If you can unmute and introduce yourself. Okay, I think we'll give Martha a moment and move to Susanna.
Good morning. I hope you're well. This is Susanna Mainge from Kwale Recycling Center, where we focus on empowering the community through sustainable waste management and solutions for the blue and circular economy. We're happy to be here alongside our colleagues and stakeholders to learn more about opportunities for the youth, women, and our local representatives through this convening. So I'm happy to contribute and look forward to the conversation. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. And then I think there's a representative from the Swahili Coast Farms.
Yeah, morning. Yeah, my name is Arnold, Swahili Coast Farms. We're an oyster farm based out in Gazi for the past 3 years. And so, I mean, we sell oysters and we also offer farm tours. So, yeah, we're looking for any partnerships. I heard some people in tourism, so feel free to reach us on Swahili Coast Farms. And yeah, looking forward to learning more from what your program is about. Thank you.
You're welcome. Welcome, Arnold and Swahili Coast Farms. And I think that's about it. I do see someone who's joined the call, Christine Sabina.
Hello, good morning. My name is Christine Sabina, Universal Engineering, a member of Global Compact.
Welcome, Christine. So
Thank you.
Wonderful. I think that's it from us on the online team. Like the moderator shared, if you have any questions or thoughts you'd like to share, feel free to drop them into the chat and we will be sure that the Diani team will pick them up for discussion. Thank you so much.
So without wasting your time, I'd like to introduce the Executive Director of the Global Compact Network. When I was reading her bio, it was a very massive bio, and I was like, wow, this is a very influential lady today I'm going to meet. So without wasting your time, I know I have timekeepers and they're on my neck, so they're really on me. So the Executive Director, she has been in office since April 2013. She provides strategic leadership to promote responsible business practices aligned with the 10 principles of the UN Global Compact and the Sustainable Development Goals. Supporting over 1,000 companies, Judy has successfully driven the integration of sustainability into business strategies and operation across Kenya private sector. Under her leadership, the network has become a leading platform for mobilizing business action toward sustainable and inclusive growth. She also manages strategic partnership with the government, the private sector, UN energy agencies, and donors. Previously, Judy led the Responsible Business Program at Ufadhili Trust and worked with the Samaritan Pass on community water and sanitation projects. She holds a master's in project planning and management from the University of Nairobi and a bachelor's in counseling psychology and community development from Daystar University. Judy is also a national expert on ICO 26,000. Kindly join me in welcoming the Executive Director of Global Compact. Kindly tumpigeni makofi jamani. Karibu sana.
Thank you, Madam Moderator, and good morning to everyone once more. And to also our online audience, thank you so much for making time to join us this morning. And we are very excited that you've made time to be able to come to dialogue with us, but also to network amongst yourselves because you're all playing a very important role in powering Kenya's blue economy. So we see opportunities at the end of the day to strengthen connections and also to strengthen coordination of efforts in really ensuring that Kenya's blue economy grows in a pathway that is not only sustainable, but it is also safe and inclusive so that everybody gets to benefit from it. So as you've heard, my name is Julie Njino. We are the host of this meeting. The Ocean Center here in Kenya is hosted by the UN Global Compact Network here in Kenya. And for those of you who might not know who we are, allow me to just introduce the Global Compact very briefly. The United Nations Global Compact is the world's largest corporate sustainability initiative with a mandate from the UN General Assembly to work with the global private sector to be a force for good in society. And what we mean by that is we are working with the global private sector to advance what we call corporate sustainability or responsible business conduct. And this vision is emanating from the thinking that the private sector has a potential to contribute to development, but it cannot be development through profit maximization at all means, by all means. So we are looking to see how we can unlock the potential of the private sector to be a key partner of development alongside government, civil society, community groups, and other actors. So our mandate revolves around supporting 25,000 signatory businesses across the globe who've signed up to be part of our initiative. And I'd like to thank the members who've joined us and who are online. I've had Engineering, I think I've also had Sanlam, and any others who might be on the call. Thank you for joining us as we advance this dialogue. So as I was mentioning, our work is really anchored around supporting these companies that have made this global commitment to advance business guided by a set of principles. And these principles, we consider them to be, universal language of how responsible business is supposed to be conducted in this global marketplace. And for us, that principle framework revolves around business respect for human rights, business respect for labor rights, business working collectively to advance environmental stewardship, and business working collectively to advance actions against corruption. And we are, of course, also a special initiative of the UN Secretary General, formally proposed by the UN Secretary General Kofi Annan back in 2000. And as a Secretary General initiative, we also have a mandate to mobilize these 25,000 plus companies that have signed up to contribute to the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. And as many of you already know, the goals are about to expire in less than 3 years, 4 years to go. And what we are beginning to see is that the world is not on track to deliver on this promise that we had made for ourselves. And so the Global Compact aims to accelerate the actions of private sector companies, of course, in collaboration with governments and other stakeholders, to make sure that we are able to close the gap around the aspirations that we set for ourselves. And at the very least, that we halt the reversal in the progress that we are seeing when it comes to these SDGs. And we've seen the reversal in gains on issues such as climate action, or climate change is currently raging, and it's now actually a crisis that we have to deal with. And we've also seen what is happening across the globe. The geopolitical tensions and the emerging wars and conflicts are also not helping us, to really advance these goals, because we are now distracted. Resources are being pulled back to focus on issues like defense. Well, we have at the same time all these other pressing challenges that we have to deal with. So our work, as I mentioned, is really focused and anchored on helping business to remain focused, that for business to gain prosperity and to maximize the benefits of development, they cannot just focus on the shareholder alone. They have to also look at, of course, the stakeholders who have a stake and who have, of course, an interest in benefiting from the business community. So that's in a nutshell about the Global Compact. Here in Kenya, we are servicing about 300 signatories that have signed up. So these are companies from the largest sectors of the economy, from financial services, ICT, you name it. All these companies are resident within our network here. And we are actually the host of the largest network of Global Compact participants in Africa, where we have offices in also 10 other countries. So we are really proud of what the Kenyan private sector is doing, and also their commitments this far in advancing sustainability and advancing responsible business conduct. And so we are, of course, also encouraging participation through collaborations. While we are a business-led initiative, we are also very open to engagements and partnerships with other players in society. So we do have representation from academia. We work very closely with the government and the key ministries, agencies and departments, and also NGOs, civil society, as well as the CBOs, who are also playing a very important role and are, of course, anchor partners on the ground to support our companies to also deliver on their ambitions. And so we invite you to also look up our work and Global Compact as a potential vehicle and platform where you can also collaborate with us, where you see opportunities to work more closely or collaboratively with the private sector. So coming back to the Ocean Center, the Ocean Center is currently hosted by the Global Compact, and you'll hear later from Olive. It was launched last year with the ambition of supporting 7 countries, Kenya being one of them. We also have a few others out of Asia, and here in Africa, we also have Ghana as part of one of the countries that has launched an Ocean Center. And the ambition of this Ocean Center is to provide a platform where stakeholders can come together to collaborate, but also to pool expertise, resources, and actions around, really powering Kenya's blue economy on a pathway that is not only safe, but it is also sustainable and inclusive. So while the focus of the initiative is on safety, we see a lot of interconnectivity with the issues that all of you are currently working on, whether you're working on marine conservation, as we've had many of you mention, whether you're in the tourism sector, or whether you're in research, whichever field you're working on, you're all contributing one way or another to really building Kenya's sustainable, safe, inclusive blue economy. And I think as someone mentioned on the call, this is one sector that really has a lot of potential that still remains untapped. We've had, in many, of course, government agendas, we've had a lot of focus on manufacturing, we've had focus on health, education, and all these are important sectors that are really contributing to Kenya's GDP. But we also see this blue economy being a sector of interest for Kenya as we look into, of course, the Sustainable Development Goals and their realization. And of course, as even Kenya begins to think through the achievements of its own Vision 2030, the blue economy is one sector that we really have to begin to pay attention to. And it shouldn't be a focus because, we have disruptions like we are seeing right now, with global trade. It's a sector that is powering the livelihoods of a lot of our people, but it's also a sector that can also provide a lot of the solutions to the climate crisis that we are currently faced with. And at the same time, it's a sector that many of us, like I said, are relying on to really meet our daily needs. And so it's important that we look at this sector as a sector of importance and a sector that we all must rally our support, but also our initiatives and our resources to make sure that everybody gets to benefit from it, and at the same time, it is not exploited unduly. So our Ocean Center, as I mentioned, is really intended to provide a platform where we can all come together to think through what are some of the most pressing challenges that are currently facing Kenya's blue economy. And beyond just thinking through the challenges, what are the solutions and what are those low-hanging fruits that we can all identify as action areas we can come out with? Because each of you are already contributing to that. But as we head into the 2030 agenda, and of course, as we look at unlocking the full potential of the sector, it will require us to also accelerate a lot of our efforts, and not just accelerate, but also to look at how we can partner in new ways, but also partner at scale. So beyond all of us working in silos within our respective sectors, we need to start thinking through how else can we bring down those barriers that keep us from really investing and collaborating to power Kenya's blue economy. So we are here today to discuss a number of topics. As Oli will share later, we've been able to convene a number of workshops this far since the beginning of the project last year. And the workshops have focused on just listening to the voices on the ground. So, of course, a lot of our stakeholders here are the frontline workers when it comes to our blue economy. So our workshops are focused on listening to you. What are the challenges that you're seeing in this landscape? but also trying to identify solutions that we can quickly build on to the next action phase that is coming out of this initiative, which we hope going into 2027 will be able to come out with concrete actions that we can, of course, drive together. And so a lot of this work, and some of you have been part of the workshops, they've been mostly about data gathering. And that's because the way the project and the initiative is structured, it's anchored on evidence. So we don't want to, of course, prescribe solutions that are not informed by anything. It's important that we hear the voices of those who are in the front line, but also those who are, of course, working on these issues and are able to bring out their lived realities around the challenges that we are experiencing. So Olive will speak later on to, of course, the upcoming activities and the reports that we'll be able to produce, which will come, of course, after the consultations that we are having. And I think this would be one of the last set of workshops that we are hosting to gather and to generate a lot of the data and the evidence. But critically, we see the opportunities to work more closely with all of you post this phase to identify, like I said, some of those low-hanging fruits to drive solutions to a lot of the challenges we are facing in this sector. So we'll, of course, focus on issues touching on fishing and aquaculture. And I know some of you are represented here, working very actively in this space. We also will be touching on issues of the shipping and ports. A lot of the opportunities and the economic capabilities that we can unleash as a country are around our shipping and ports and the infrastructure, but also focusing on people and the safety concerns that the developments of our port infrastructure might bring to them. We are also very interested in advancing conversations around finance, investment, and offshore renewables. And we are seeing a lot of potential in our other markets where this project is currently being run. That Kenya also has a lot of potential to, of course, build out its offshore renewables as we are looking at, of course, building on and unlocking cleaner sources of power for our development. So there are conversations going on in government, and I think we'll be able to also understand where are the opportunities to also finance a lot of these investments. And lastly, community engagement and ensuring we also have policy alignment will be critical as we also hear the perspectives of the youth, women, persons with disabilities, the fisher folk, and looking at how we can align policy and regulatory framework so that the recommendations are not only grounded, but that they are also actionable. And so for us at the Global Compact, as I mentioned, working very closely with the business community, our interest would be on how we can unlock private sector interest, but also investments in Kenya's blue economy. And we see there's a lot of potential in driving transformation, whether we are looking at our financial services sector, if we're looking at issues such as facilities that are required by the fisher community to be able to scale up their businesses. Do we have the right financial products that our companies, and we do have, I think, almost all tier one banks in Kenya are signatories to the Global Compact. We are seeing them advancing credits to, agriculture and other sectors of the economy. Have they thought through the ocean economy and the ocean industry here in Kenya as a potential, of course, not only to innovate products around, but to also support the growth of this sector? So we'll be looking at engaging also with our private sector members to bring them on board into the conversation so that they can also hear and also look at the opportunities to partner with you. And many of you, like you said, you're also engaged very actively in conservation work. Majority of these companies are also driving a lot of actions through their CSR or corporate social responsibility, corporate social investment initiatives around conservation. So beyond the tree planting that we see many of our members involved in, are there opportunities for them to also collaborate with yourselves here on the ground, because you're the ones who know where the challenges are, where the needs are? Could you look at Global Compact as a platform where you can tap into the resources and the rich networks that the private sector has so that we can again pool resources and also pool efforts to solve a lot of the challenges. So our call to action this morning is we are looking forward to, of course, breaking down the silos and, of course, providing those pathways to partnerships, but also for all of us to use this Ocean Center as a platform for collaboration, for co-creation, and also committing towards Kenya's sustainable, safe, and inclusive blue economy. So I invite you all, as we start off the workshop, to share your experiences openly, because many of you, like I said, are coming in with a lot of rich experience. We also want to test and validate what we know, and we are hoping that at the end of the day, we will be able to move with a clear roadmap that is shared and that will keep Kenya's and Diani's blue economy safe, sustainable, and inclusive. So I thank you all for your attention and looking forward to the deliberations ahead.
Thank you so much. Boy, something that she's talked about that really touched my heart, especially when it comes to the DBD aspect in the blue economy sector. Thank you so much for those insights. Thank you, Sana, Madam Edi. We have set the tone for the discussion for today. Kindly, I want to remind you once more that this is a cumulative workshop and a validation workshop. Without wasting time, because I can save you your past time, I want to invite our second speaker. Our second speaker is a dedicated and results-driven fisheries officer based in Kwale County, Kenya, with over 7 years of experience in coastal fisheries management and aquaculture development. He is passionate about sustainable resource utilization, marine conservation, and community empowerment with a strong focus on improving livelihood of coastal ecosystems. In his role with the Kwale County government, he works closely with beach management units to promote compliance with fisheries regulations, supports fisheries data collection and analysis, and contributes to the development and monitoring of aquaculture projects. Kindly allow me to invite Hezron Gati to take us through for fishing and aquaculture. Karibu sana Bwana Hezron. Kindly let us clap for him as he comes to the stage.
Thank you. Good morning, all of you. My name is Hezron Geti, as I introduced myself. I'm a fisheries officer in the Kwale County. As I said, I come from Sambweni area, Manning Kinondo ward, which happens to be Diani Falls, part of Kinondo. So I'll be here to take you through the opportunities, the sustainability, the challenges that we have, and the opportunities that lie within Diani area. So can we start? So I'm going to give you an overview of the fisheries and aquaculture in Diani, just to skim through so that we can be at par to know what actually happens in fisheries and aquaculture. I'm going to talk about livelihoods, the challenges that we have, and the opportunities that we have. Diani is a key coastal fishing area in Kwale County, and it is a vibrant zone for fishing and aquaculture because of the rich biodiversity that we have, the seagrass, the mangrove, the coral reefs that we have in Diani area make it a suitable place for fishing. And amazingly, it supports thousands of lives because each and every day, thousands of fishermen enter into this area for fishing because it is a major fishing zone. Currently, we are doing 3 BMUs in this area. We have Mwaipe BMU, we have Mokamba BMU, and we have Chalijeza BMU fishing in this area. It supports almost 1,000 fishermen, cascading down to the traders. We have at least 600 traders, and the local area has been supported because of the fish that come from this area. It is a very vibrant place for boosting the economy of Diani. It contributes to food security because we know fish is a cheap source of protein. It is a good source of employment, the fishermen, the traders, the processors that we have. And it's also good for our local economy because when you buy and sell fish, it is an income generator to our fishermen, an income generator to our traders and our processors, the women, the mama karangas that buy fish and sell. It's a very good form of employment. The importance to it is very important to livelihood because one, it is a source of income for fishers and traders, like you have said, because when fishers harvest land their fish, they sell their fish. It is a good source of income, and when traders buy the fish, they go and sell. It supports value chain actors because we know fish once it has been landed, it has to end with the table. In between, we have a value chain. Very, very many nodes that people are engaged in this value chain. We have traders, we have processors. These are people who depend on fish. The current practices that we have, artisanal fisheries is described as the lowest form of fishing. Because we have three types. We have artisanal, semi-industrial, and we have industrial. What we have in Diani is artisanal because they use the lowest forms and the traditional forms of gears. We have fishing canoes, we have dugout canoes, nets, and hand lines, which are used for fishing. Landing, we have basic infrastructure. Processing, we have sun drying, smoking, salting. These are the processes that these women who buy fish engage on a day-to-day just to make to value add on the fish, to make the fish more good for trade. The marketing, we have local markets and middlemen, people who buy fish from the fishermen and then sell to local communities, sold to the restaurants and the hotels that are around here in Diani. Next slide. We have challenges that we have in artisanal fishing is that using the nature of their boats and the way they are, they cannot launch into the deep, what we call offshore fishing. So most of them just do their fishing in the nearshore fishery fishing, making it applying a lot of pressure to our resource, and that is why we have overfishing. Illegal gear use is there because we have people who are using spear guns. We have people who are using. You can have a legal gear but use it wrongly. For example, we have people who are doing gill nets and they are doing beach seining. A beach seining is an illegal form of fishing, and that has been illegalized by the country. Habitat degradation is there because when you have these pressures, when you do beach seining, you are stepping on the corals. There are people who use explosives for fishing. There are people who are using poison. These are things that kill the coral. These are things that destroy our corals. And habitat degradation is there. Climate variability, we have the global warming, the rise in temperature in water, the coral bleaching, really affecting our fishing because the fishing seasons are changing. The way the fish are moving are changing their migration. So it has become a challenge to us. I was comparing the northeasterly monsoon winds. This season is called the Kaskazi season. I was looking at it this year, comparing it to last year, and there's a significant reduction in production, mainly because of the climate variability that we have. Weak enforcement and economic pressure, because Kenya has very good laws, but the challenge that we are facing is weak enforcement. But the government is trying as much as possible to bring in all the stakeholders and just do multi-agency so that we can increase our enforcement to make sure that our fishermen fish according to the laid laws and regulations. Next slide. When we do a DPSIR analysis, this is what we came out with. We have the driver first, which is the fish demand. When you have fish demand, probably it leads to overfishing because each and every person wants to take advantage of the demand to bring in more fish. And when we do that, we know our artisanal fishermen, when they go into the ocean, they don't go deep. They are just there, the near shore. So it creates the pressure, which is increased fishing. More and more people want to go and fish. The state is that we reduce the stocks because people are overfishing. Now the impact is that there will be no fish, or there'll be less catch, which will lead to low income and food insecurity. What is our response? We have the regulations, we have the BMUs, and the BMUs are our watchdogs down there. We are trying to capacity build the BMUs so that they can be reliant and they can be the ones to work and improve their what we call sustainable use of our resource. There's also conservation, like in Chale and Gasi, there's what we call a joint co-management area. This is a plan that engages the Gazi BMU and the Chale BMU, and soon I know Mwaepe and Mwakamba are going to have theirs, so that they can come up with a plan that might improve conservation and make sure that they do their patrols just to make sure that our fishermen do what is in the law. Next slide. Sustainability analysis. We have environmental, we have stock decline, because if even when you ask the fishermen, they themselves, they will tell you last year it was this year stocks are being declining. If you ask them 5 years ago, 10 years ago, they will tell you fish is declining. So unless we do something, then we are heading in a very dangerous situation. Economic, we have an unstable income, because if the stocks decline, then there is no fish to sell. Then our incomes go down. Social, we have high dependence and youth unemployment. These are all things that come out of stock declining and our unstable income. Next slide. Now we have opportunities. Aquaculture is emerging as one of the most an alternative livelihood to, in Diani. We are looking at fish ponds. We are looking at situations where we want to bring in the chem-free department just to make sure that we check out our situations where if we can do cage farming, fish farming in our place. There is seaweed. I'm glad that right now, like in Gazi, there are women who are doing value addition for seaweed. They are selling their lotions. They are selling their body shower gels. They are doing so many things with our seaweed. So we are trying to see if seaweed can also be included and expanded in farming scope so that our women can benefit. Youth and women programs, very essential for equity. We are trying as much as possible to make sure that our women get into the blue economy space. Youth, we are trying as much as possible to increase programs that might increase their intake and absorption into our blue economy. Ecotourism linkages, fishing, when we fish, around Diani, we have so many hotels and restaurants that when their people come, their visitors come, they would want a demand for fish and seafood. This can be a very good ecotourism linkage, an opportunity that can be taken advantage to make sure that our Diani area people are employed and have income in their and money in their pockets. Next slide. We have aquaculture potential. We have a suitable climate. Reduce pressure on wild stocks. That is our main advantage, our main objective of doing aquaculture, because you want to reduce the pressure what we have on our wild stocks, so that there can be supply of fish, but our oceans can breathe. But we don't want to reduce a problem and add another problem. So aquaculture has to be done in a sustainable way, just to make sure that while we are reducing problems on the ocean, we don't create another problem because of aquaculture and mariculture. The challenges that we have feed cost and we have the skills gap. The government is trying as much as possible to make sure that the skill gap, the youth and the women. In fact, this is a very good initiative for them, because these are people who cannot go deep into the ocean because of the nature of fishing, but can take advantage of such a potential area of aquaculture and improve their lives. Next slide, please. So the key findings are these: that we have fisheries under pressure. Our artisanal fishing creates a lot of pressure. 2, we have weak enforcement. As much as the government is trying to do that, but we need more participation from all the stakeholders and from all the agencies, just to make sure that we have a strong enforcement. The value chain inefficiencies. We're trying to look at the preparation of fish from when it was landed and into the plate. There are things that can be done to this fish that can improve income. For example, right now in Moepe, there is a modern landing site being constructed, whereby we are going to give opportunities for our women and our youth that can engage things like filleting, which is not being done right now. They can do fish packaging, so that when they do that, it can improve their income, and we can also compete just to make sure that if we improve our standards of hygiene and handling of fish, we can even do export to other countries. Aquaculture is underutilized. If there can be funding, if there can be stakeholders coming in and boosting these people, then I believe that we can go and do something good for our women. Next slide. The recommendations are that we strengthen our BMUs. Our BMUs are our watchdog down there. If we can strengthen the BMUs, build their capacity, let them know that they own the resource and it is part of them. If they can use it sustainably, it will be an advantage to them. I was trying to tell them that when we do enforcement, it's not restricting you for fishing. We are trying to build the future so that when you fish, your child will fish and your child's child can also fish. So when they learn that, it becomes good. We are also strengthening the BMUs by making sure that they do their own patrols. Like right now, what we do with our JCMS in our counties, that we are enabling them do their own patrols. We fund them and then they do it so that they get a feel to know that what they do is actually an advantage to them. Enforcement of regulations is a must. We must do that, because if we don't do that, then probably we're going to lose our resources. Promote conservation. For example, right now with our JCMAs, what we are doing is that we are encouraging each and every JCMA to have at least a conservation area, a breeding area, a no-take zone, closures that are permanent or semi-permanent, so that at least these people can know that when they do that, they are boosting fish production and increasing the biomass of fish so that they can be fished around and there can be conservation. Investment in cold storage, a very, very, very wonderful idea, because right now at least 40% of the fish that is caught is being going to what we call post-harvest losses. If we can reduce that, probably we are going to have more fish to sell and we are going to have more income for our fishermen. I recently saw a fisherman in Gasi coming in with almost a ton of the frigate mackerel, but it was in the evening. So when he tried to look for people to buy, they were not there. You can imagine that fish, it all got wasted because there was no place to store and there was nothing that he could do. So if we can invest in cold storage, then probably we are going to reduce post-harvest losses. Support aquaculture. It is a good alternative to our livelihoods, and it will ease pressure on our resource. Next. The conclusion is that Diani area is a good area, a vital area, a central area for fishing. It is vital, and what it needs is just sustainable management. I recently went to a workshop organized by the Wildlife Conservation Society, WCS. And what was amazing, a finding was that even with a little management plan, even with a little oversight, these places can be productive. So that means if we can put our sustainable management in place, then probably these places are going to improve. Opportunity for blue economy growth, and we know blue economy's objectives is to increase fish, increase production, boost the economy of our people. Then I believe that we can do something good. So thank you so much for listening to me. I believe that while we are here, we are going to come up with a good plan that will make sure that our BMUs and our fishermen, their lives improve. Thank you so much.
So much, Hezron, for that wonderful presentation. But before we proceed, I would like to ask if anyone has any comments or any question, especially from our online team, PASS. Maybe you can tell us, is there any comments? Okay, now let us proceed here.
Thank you very much for this, I'll say, very informing presentation. I have 3 issues that I wanted to pass across. One is about artisanal fishing. Second is about enforcement. And the third is about inclusion. Maybe we need to ask ourselves, artisanal fishing, is it because of a resource gap or is it a culture? Because I believe artisanal fishing is more of a culture that has become very predominant and very stubborn to live. But I think a lot of interventions are looking at it as a resource gap. And if you're looking at it as a resource gap and you pump in funding, it will never go away because a culture is social and it needs social interventions, not investment in terms of money. If you look at the number of vehicles, cars and tuk-tuks and boda-bodas around Diani, it will tell you those people could actually invest in vessels in the ocean if they realized the opportunities for earning and getting away from artisanal fishing. However, everyone coming from the village just looks at artisanal fishing as the only way of fishing, and that's why it will be very difficult to get it away. So, for the experts, I think this is a very important discourse to have conversation around. Artisanal fishing is not about lack of resources to buy better vessels. It's a culture, very predominant, and for us to weed it out, we need a social approach. Second is about enforcement. And I know, unfortunately, enforcement is human to human. And we are a very social community. And because of that, we compromise a lot. Because you do not want to be seen as a bad person
You do not want to make them not go back with fish and stuff. If we come up with an agreement and say we will starve everybody who is doing artisanal fishing now, but to create wealth sustainably for future, we shall be in the right direction. Lakini tukisema mtu akienda baharini kwa sababu yeye amekuja tuna mshipi wa kutembea na bunduki and tunawaonea huruma, then hiyo huruma endelevu will never address the gaps of depleted breeding zones and all that, because we know the damage that artisanal fishing is doing. We shall keep on singing this same song kama tutaoneana huruma na kuangaliana macho. There's a saying in my village that says ukitaka kuua nyani usimwangalie uso kwa sababu mfanana na babako kama na mjomba wako. So our entrenched social elements zinatuharibia uchumi. So we need to come up with a very stern, difficult decisions to starve people now but create wealth for them sustainably. Third is about inclusion. In farming, there's such a thing called weeding. Sorry, I may sound very uncompromising, but again, compromise is what has brought us here. We are on our knees. Now we are talking about aquaculture against an abundance resource, the Indian Ocean. Nani alisema samaki wameisha kwa Indian Ocean? We are looking at alternatives that are very safe, quote unquote. But let us, if we want to include youth who are vibrant, passionate, committed, aggressive, and invest in their knowledge and resources to go deep, these young people are going to contest for the best fishers. They're going to add technology into it. And in TikToks, we'll be seeing those big tonnage by young people showing each other how deep they have gone. But all our fishers, I would say 90% of our fishers are aged 40 years and above. So they are using the same methods they learned from their grandfathers. The world is moving forward. Unfortunately, this may be a very hard term to use, but we need to start weeding out old guards and old methods and bringing young people who are passionate, energetic, and aggressive to turn the wheels of fishing in Diani and the coast of Kenya. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Because of time, kindly you have only 1 minute for your reflection.
Okay, my concern is about the challenges of overfishing, illegal gears, habitat degradation, and weak enforcement. In fact, the presenter is the fisheries officer. So maybe you explain to us these illegal gears used is being prohibited by the law. Then we have the degradation and the weak enforcement. What is the challenges to enforce the laws as fast as
like he just explained, when we do enforcement, these are our brothers, these are our mothers, these are our sisters. Sometimes nasema ukiangalia nyani kwa uso utamwonea huruma. But sometimes when we do enforcement, we do seizures, we do arrests. But the thing is that I don't know what to say. We have what we call political interference. These are people who will call the high officers, and before you know it, you are releasing the person and you're releasing the gears. So we have so much political interference. So when you do that, there are patrols that we have done that we're supposed to arrest, but we have done more than 10 patrols, and each patrol now we are just doing sensitization, because there is nothing more you can do. You can't arrest. You can't seize a gear. So if our political elite
the leads can be taken through what we are doing, the conservation strategies. Probably, if they come aboard, then we can do something with our resources.
Just wanted to ask one question. Like when you're from the beach, and you can see the if it's Chinese trawlers or any in our waters. And I think that is part of the reason why we are having very little fish stock, because we have international or whoever the big trawlers are fishing outside there, and you can see it from the ocean. I mean, what's going on there?
See, we have the national government and we have the county government, right? The county government deals with our artisanal fishermen. We deal with our BMUs. But the big trawlers, the ships that come from other countries, those are being monitored by the Kenya Fisheries Service. We don't have control over that.
Being regulated by the politicians, because the National Assembly are the one who do those regulations, maybe the County Assembly at the same time. No, I don't know. I don't understand that you do the regulation. You are supposed to enforce the regulation, being employed to enforce the regulation. Therefore, the political issue should not come in, because those few individuals who are they are doing the degradation of those resources, and the entire public are losing because of those few individuals. Then I don't see any justification that you don't arrest and prosecute, because there is prosecution. So now maybe you go back to the drawing board and see how you can address that, because the degradation is very high, overfishing is very high. You see now you have this ring nets and so on and so forth. The trolling system that is going on normally are being issued by the the Kenya Fisheries Service, but now the county government, being the one who owns the resources, we also need to take up with the Kenya Fisheries Service. We in Blue Economy Network Kenya, we have engaged the Kenya Fisheries Service in relation with the trolling that is going on. You see, those trolling are doing their job, and the VMS are being switched off because fisheries has been compromised. Therefore, nowadays we have satellite. We are monitoring those trolling with satellite. There's no way that fisheries can skip. So I think we need to go back to the drawing board. The county fisheries and the the Kenya Fisheries Service sit at a round table and see how we can address the issue, because you are going to be blamed. You are the one who won the resource at the county level. It's not the Kenya Fisheries, the national. Thank you very much. Just a minute. Maybe I just want to add some more pain before you respond. I think our biggest problem is this stretch of the beach hotels from Jacaranda all the way down here. There are countless workshops on sensitization and awareness creation. But the biggest problem is we have given so much latitude and leverage to politicians that we toy with them as they ruin everything that is invested here. So I think if we make our politicians as our demigods, then we should stop all these workshops, because everything goes down the drain. There's I want to finish with a saying. Kwetu tunasema huwezi chonga Mungu wako wa kijiti alafu akutese. You cannot create your own idol and then it puts you to pain. Tukimchonga mwanasiasa ni sisi tunamchagua alafu atutese badala kutuongoza. As in, we should stop this fear through advocacy and every other matter, human rights, every shaming and naming and shaming and all that, because we cannot allow politicians to ruin everything that we are investing. So hii story ya kusema wanasiasa ndo wanakataa, we should name them and shame them.
Because we have our online team, I'd like first of all to release them, but and also if they want to still join us for the next part, please kindly still remain be with us. And also we have a question or a comment from Frederick Ndugu. He's saying, nice presentation, great potential in Diani. Curious to know how the small-scale coastal fisheries fisher folk are coping with climate and environmental stressors, any practice or strategies?
Climate change is here with us, and we must accept that it is happening. So what we are doing, we are trying to do what we call climate smart fishing. You have to adapt to the seasons. You have to adapt to the patterns of migration of fishing. If you go to a place and you miss, then you have to go to another place, because there is nothing you can do. It is here, and it's here with us. Number two, we can do livelihood diversification. What we call aquaculture can be done. I remember we have a project, the Kenya Marine Fisheries Socio-Economic Development Project, the Convened project. We were trying to what we call complementary livelihoods to our BMUs. We bought chicken, we bought goats. We were doing crop farming, just to make sure that we ease the pressure on our resource. So yes, we can adapt with the change, or we can diversify livelihoods. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hezron. So we're going to break the tea for 30 minutes, but I'm requesting, can we have like a working tea? Because we are past time, and time is not on our side, and also we have other presentation and still have group discussions. So kindly let us have a working tea so that we can save time. And also for these 30 minutes, kindly you can reflect on what has been just presented, and also let us network, because just guess out is some of the people. I would love to hear your voices in the next session. Kindly. So, Santini, you're free to go for today. Let me introduce our third speaker, where she'll take us through the document, the final report. So I'd like to invite her. She is a dynamic leader driving Kenya's vision for a sustainable and inclusive blue economy. As a country project manager at the Ocean Center hosted by Global Compact Network Kenya, under the UN Global Compact Ocean Centers and Lloyd Register Foundation, she is leading efforts to shape national ocean economy strategies following Kenya's selection in June 2025 as one of the 7 global hosts for a United Nations-backed ocean center. Olive is spearheading the launch of Mombasa-based hub. She leads thematic work on coastal resilience, work safety, community engagement, and other skills development. Olive holds a Master's in European Law, Human Rights and Democracy from the University of Padua a Bachelor of Laws from Strathmore University, and is a licensed to practice advocate, the High Court of Kenya. Her work unites stakeholders across sectors to promote offshore, wind, sustainable aquaculture, and decent work. Olive champions ocean governance rooted in science, equity, and community-led innovation. Allow me to invite Olive, kindly. Pigeni makofi akikuja kwa stage. Also, as she presents, kindly identify any missing gap in the document and also identify where you guys can give a recommendation.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mariam. Thank you so much for coming here today. I'll request that the slides to be presented in the meantime. As Mariam mentioned, my background is primarily law, but somehow I found myself in the blue economy, probably because I'm Coastarian, born and raised in Mombasa. That's just a little bit about me. In terms of Diani, I usually come to Diani for touristic purposes. So it's interesting to come with this angle of I'm working and having that mindset of just understanding the Kwale County, especially Diani, from that perspective. The slides in the meantime. Thank you. My name is Olive Mumbo. I'm the country lead of Ocean Centers Kenya. As you can see, we are hosted by the United Nations Global Compact, hence the Global Compact Network Kenya, and we are based in Nairobi, but we've been traveling a bit with the series of workshops we'll be doing, which I'll explain a little bit more about that later. So the UN Global Compact is a convener of stakeholders, especially in the ocean industries. And then we are supported by Lloyd's Register Foundation, who are based in the UK, and it's a global safety charity organization that primarily focuses on safety, especially in the engineering excellence and in the maritime sector. And that's how we exist as ocean centers. But I will talk more about the other ocean centers in the next slides. Next slide, please. So for us, our mandate is putting safety at the heart of sustainability. We are focusing on occupational safety and health, or particularly safety of different quarters within our 4 action areas, which I will elaborate later. And as Judy mentioned earlier on, we are trying to convene different stakeholders, hence you guys are here in this room. And it's our first time in Diani within this capacity, and we feel most welcome. And we try to bring the voices of the unseen and the unheard and try to bring them to a high level engagement in order to get that form of perspective. And we try to focus especially on youths, women, marginalized communities, indigenous communities. And I'll explain a little bit about that with the next slides. Next slide, please. So my presentation will really be simple and quick. I will just tell you about who we are, our mandate, and what the role is in terms of advancing Kenya's blue economy. And then I will also highlight some of the collaboration opportunities available for you as you're being here in this room. Next slide, please. So for us, we try to focus on safety. This is something that I had already anticipated on, but also we try to advocate for the SDG 13, Life Below Water. And we've been doing a series of 8 workshops, and this is our final 8th workshop. We actually started in Mombasa with our launch in August last year, and then we proceeded to Nairobi, where we did a workshop on blue finance, and then we also went to Kilifi as well. We did a workshop on fishing and aquaculture, and just last week we were in Lamu, where we were doing a workshop on shipping and ports, and then finally we are here with the culmination workshop for all the 4 action areas. Hence, the first part of today's agenda was primarily focusing on Diani's specific areas of quotient and importance, being fishing and aquaculture. And then the rest quotient is going to now focus on the 3 other action areas, which are not primarily Diani's main target areas, but I'm looking forward to seeing how this group of individuals integrates the case studies and, give their inputs in that regard, having all that into consideration. And for us, we're trying, as Judy mentioned, we're trying to convince solutions on safety, and we're trying to bring a national report based on all these 8 workshops. There's going to be a first draft that will be ready by next week, and then we will be sharing it to Ocean Centers members in the following week. We have about, I think, 2 weeks or 1 week to kind of review and give their inputs. And then we are going to come in place having a safety committee from next month. This is basically technical experts, technical people who are engaged in the safety aspect, who are going to now help draft and fine tune the report. And then finally, we are going to have the national report in about a month or two. And then we'll have a global report in the next couple of months because, as I'll explain later, I'm not the only ocean center. We're not the only existing ocean centers. We have other ocean centers existing as well. Next slide, please. And yeah, this brings me to now introducing who are in our team. So in Africa, we are in Kenya, as I mentioned. We are based in Nairobi. And but we've been moving around. As you can see, we are here with you guys in Diani, but also we are in Ghana as well. We also have a country lead in Brazil, India, Bangladesh, Philippines, and Indonesia. And all of us convened together at the United Nations Ocean Conference last year that was held in Nice in France, where we were able to hold the global launch of all the 7 ocean centers. And then thereafter, we had our individual launches as country-wise. And then thereafter, as I've mentioned, we've been bringing the series of the 8 workshops. Hence, we are here with the final workshop with the team from Diani, because we are trying to focus on the ocean and we're trying to be as inclusive as possible. We couldn't just maintain our workshops to just Nairobi and Mombasa. We had to extend up to the coast, to Kilifi, Lamu, as I've mentioned, and also finally completing our junction with Diani. Next slide, please. So joining ocean centers is completely free. If you're in this room and you fall within this myriad, I usually call this the duara, the circle of relevant stakeholders. So if you're a company, a regulator, a think tank, academia, research institute, grassroots organization, youth-led, indigenous, a hub, an NGO, development bank, financial institutes, and government. Basically, if you fall within this ambit, then you are eligible to join Ocean Centers Kenya. And I'll explain a little bit about how to join in the last slide and what the process entails. And we are trying to be as inclusive as possible, as I mentioned. Hence, we are extending towards, as I repeat, the voices of the unseen and the unheard. We've also had PWDs actually in Mombasa attending our workshops because they are also working in the blue economy sector, and they wanted to be involved in our mandate, and they've actually joined us as members based on this myriad of stakeholders. So if you fall anywhere within here, then you're eligible to join Ocean Centers Kenya. And joining is free. Next slide, please. So for us, we focus on 4 action areas, being fishing and aquaculture, shipping and ports, offshore renewables, and finance and investment. Hence, this final workshop is a culmination of all the 4 action areas. Like I mentioned, the first part of the presentations were focusing primarily on what is Diani's main stakeholder group or main component, being fishing and aquaculture. Then the next component of this the workshop today is gonna go into the groups where we'll be discussing the 3 other action areas in depth and just giving your insights based on your knowledge and expertise. And then from that, as Mariam mentioned, you'll be giving your recommendations in terms of what are the gaps, what are the recommendations. And I'm going to tailor that into now the reports that will now come showcasing what are the short-term, medium, and long-term outputs that can be undertaken. Next slide, please. Of interest to mention is based on the workshops we've held, we've noticed there's gap in terms of offshore renewables and also blue finance. We have recognized there's been challenges in terms of understanding how do you get these grant opportunities or these financial models. Hence, we are coming in with the trying to engage the financial institutes and the likes to bring them all into one room so that we can understand how to sort of upscale this to local community dwellers. More so, as per this slide, offshore renewables is quite untapped. We have had conversations with the Kenya Port Authority, and they mentioned that this offshore renewables, it's something that, especially in Mombasa, I think they're using it, but not to the extent that they would like to, because it's only powering the small boats per se. And when I visited the Kenya Port Authority of Lamu, they were indicative in terms of saying that there's a lot of wind energy in Lamu and there's a lot of force that they can be able to use, but they're not using it. So this is just based on the few workshops, the 7 workshops we have we've held. So these are some of the outputs that we're trying to also recognize and sort of upscale. And at this stage, this is where I usually say we have our ocean conference that is happening in June. On our part, we are going to do a side event that's gonna focus on blue finance, and we are gonna bring these stakeholders, investors in the blue finance, so that we can have this conversation at a high level to kind of come and understand what exactly are the engagements and opportunities available to communities and different stakeholders within the ocean centers. And we are working together with Ocean Centers Ghana. So we have the Ghana, and also we have, I think, Seychelles as well that's coming in. The government of Seychelles is coming in as well to support in terms of that side event that we'll be holding. But for those who are interested in attending our ocean conference, I would insist that you reach out to the organizers of the ocean conference. If you don't have their contacts, you can always sidebar me. I will give you the email addresses and you can contact them so that you can get your invitation if you have not yet received it. And also being in Diani, like I said, I usually come here from a touristic perspective, and now I'm here on the capacity of work. And it's quite clear that tourism is really bringing a lot of revenue in terms of the Kenyan aspect. So this slide just kind of culminates this, and it's good to put that into context here. Next slide, please. So for us, we are trying to accelerate the sustainability journey, as I mentioned, by focusing on the factors that I already mentioned. Safety, blue finance being a factor that we're trying to upscale. And also we're trying to improve select projects, not just limited to the 4 action areas, because I was having a conversation with a couple of colleagues and we noticed there are also other areas that are coming into our knowledge, like seaweed, coral restoration, and other factors and other products that are coming in. We usually have a database where we keep all this information so that we can always upscale it later on as the project is ongoing. But we have to also keep in mind our mandate is the 4 action areas. But as mentioned, we are trying to be as inclusive as possible and not leave anyone behind. So that's how we are operating as of now, because we are still new in the game. And also, basically, we're trying to support the emerging blue economies in terms of addressing other factors like climate change and more. Next slide, please. And joining ocean centers, like I mentioned, it's completely free, and there are 3 tiers of membership. So there's the main one, which I showed the slide with the different stakeholders. So if you are based in Kenya and you have an entity in Kenya, then you can join as a member. And sometimes we do have received requests from different countries. I remember I received requests from Zambia, Mozambique, South Africa, people expressing interest to join ocean centers. But we also have to explain to them that based on a geographical backing, because we don't have an ocean centers in these countries, they're able to join Kenya. But then following us in terms of our journey might be quite limiting, because not all of our sessions can be held in this hybrid format. So following and being, part of this journey can be a bit of a trick to them. But same goes to Ocean Centers Ghana. They received requests from Namibia, Nigeria, people interested in our mandates. But hopefully, once this cycle is done, probably the Ocean Centers will be replicated in other countries going forward. So up to now, I have no knowledge. So I'm just hoping this is what's going to be the undertaking going forward. Then there's the tier for knowledge partners. So joining as a knowledge partner means you're bringing in technical expertise and technical know-how, meaning that you are, for example, an engineer or a safety expert. Then now you're able to, align and work in the same shade as the Lloyd Register Foundation community. I will explain what are the benefits of joining for each sector in the next slides that will follow. Then finally, you can join as an ally partner. Joining as an ally partner means you don't have any knowledge of the blue economy. Maybe you're in this room and everything that I've talked about, you don't understand anything we're talking about here. You don't know anything regarding BMUs. You don't know anything regarding the blue economy and what it entails. Well, we're not leaving you behind. Just because you are interested in the initiative, then you can join as an allied partner. I can give an example of an allied partner being somebody who is a singer, a composer of poems regarding the oceans and how to safeguard the ocean and protect it. So those tier of individuals usually fall within ally partners. Next slide, please. And yeah, as I mentioned, and also my colleague Judy mentioned, joining us, you are also welcome to join the Global Compact Network Kenya. In a nutshell, they have 4 action areas, being human rights, labor standards, environment, and anti-corruption. I will not water down Judy's explanation of what Global Compact Network is all about. And yeah, but in a nutshell, primarily they work with businesses in the private sector, and they try to train you to advance the sustainable development goals and in line with upholding the 10 principles of the UN Global Compact. Next slide, please. So we usually encourage our stakeholders to also join the Global Compact Network Kenya because of the benefits and the myriad of opportunities that are available to you as well. Because as I mentioned, they are also our hosts at Nairobi, and we are blessed to have them support us in this journey and in terms of alignment, in terms of establishing Ocean Centers Kenya. And basically, participation is open to businesses committed to aligning their strategies and operations with the 10 principles of the UN Global Compact, as mentioned. Next slide, please. So some of the benefits of being a participant of the Global Compact Network are as follows. You'll be a voice in the agenda, especially in terms of global policy. You'll be given practical tools and trainings, and you'll have peer learning networks through the Kenyan network within the context of your businesses in terms of Kenya. And then they'll also support you in other areas like anti-corruption, decent work, gender equality. I was speaking to some ladies out there who are actually advocating for gender equality. We have a very good team that is behind this, and we have support in that regard. And then also you have opportunities. You'll meet like-minded individuals within the local and international context. And also you'll be empowered in how to run your business responsibly, ethically, and sustainably. Next slide, please. And for Ocean Centers Kenya, basically membership is, like I mentioned, if you're in that circle of stakeholders, some of the benefits are as follows. You will be able to drive influence in high-level discussions like this one. You will get access to myriad of opportunities, especially blue finance, something that we're trying to explore and expand based on the workshops we held. You'll join funded projects. Actually, I've received so many people requesting for an endorsement from us in terms of their grant applications to Lloyd's Register after our foundation and more. So these are opportunities that are available to you. And you'll participate in the workshops like this ones and collaborate with different sectors and different industries. And the beauty about us is that we are unique. We've gone to all these counties. So when we are having these meetings, we have that knowledge and information of something that's happening in a different county or a different organization. We can always link you up with somebody else who's doing something probably relevant to what you're doing, or probably they have a solution towards what you're doing. Like yesterday, we had a meeting with Olive Ridley project team, and they were telling us about a problem. And I remembered we were in Kilifi, and there's an NGO that had a solution. And that's something which I know I'm going to do later on, and just connect them in that regard. You see, we have this oversight thanks to the structure that we've been able to put in place. More so, you gain collaborative sectors, you'll get global learning, global networks, and also local and the likes. We are having Ocean Centers Ghana representatives coming into our Ocean Conference. So you can see these are things that we are trying to also work and align in terms of what we are doing in Kenya. And also we are trying to reach out with Ghana so that we are also partnering and work collaboratively doing things together. And also finally, you'll be featured in the Ocean Centers website as a member. Next slide, please. So remember, for knowledge partners, these are benefits for knowledge partners. These are technical expertise, engineers, safety experts. If you fall within that myriad, these are your benefits. Basically, now you'll be networking with Lloyd's Register Foundation community. You'll be responsible for priorities related to global safety and participate in knowledge sharing activities, and you'll connect to our international community, and definitely you'll be showcased in our websites. Next slide, please. And finally, for the ally partners, remember ally partners are the ones who are in support of our initiative and they want to engage in one way or the other. However, they don't know how to because they're not really experts in the blue economy. So these are some of the benefits because they'll be recognized as trusted allies and have early insights and recommendations based on these workshops. And they'll be able to be engaged and also be recognized as global ambassadors as Ocean Center's global ambassadors. And final slide, please. And that's it. So on your desk, you should have a stakeholder expression of interest form. If you don't, just you can lift your hand. Someone will probably come in and hand it over to you. All you have to do is just fill that form and send me a scanned copy on email or on WhatsApp, whatever is convenient, because I know in the cost things are a little bit different. Just send it to me or leave it here after the workshop. I will pick it up and then I will reach out to you with the next steps in terms of what are the benefits of joining as a member, and you'll be receiving a lot of information regarding opportunities that are sort of aligned to your interests in one way or the other. But also I'm always available for virtual meetups because we're based in Nairobi, just to touch base, just to align if you have any queries or concerns and the likes. But thank you so much for welcoming us for the first time in Diani, and I'm looking forward to future engagements. That's from me. Unless you have questions before I let the moderator take in from the next part of the program. Any questions or everything was clear? Wow, this is a good room. This is a good room. Okay. Everything was very clear, succinct, to the point. Okay. And we are new. You can imagine. Usually when I finish these presentations, people think I've been doing this for 20 plus years, but no, this is actually our first year in. So we appreciate the welcome to Diani. And yeah, asante sana.
I'm sure it's a common question. Any resources needed to join the network? Is there a fee that organizations pay, or it's just for free?
So you're asking regarding Global Compact Network Kenya?
Yes.
Okay, I'll allow my Judy to answer that one.
Yes, thank you for the question. Specific to the center, there's no charge. I think it's just an expression of interest to join as well as to engage. But for the Global Compact, yes, there are charges associated with participation, and that pretty much goes into supporting the work of the network. So we have a graduated scale in terms of, for companies, in this case, revenue. So based on your revenue, the subscription structure applies. So we have members from SMEs to the largest corporates in the countries, where the baseline cost for SMEs to join is 20,000 annually. But we also have a specific subscription fee for what we call non-businesses, or these are organizations that could be academia, NGOs, civil society. It's slightly higher, which is at around 50,000. But to also mention, we had a policy change recently at the global level where we no longer admit non-business participants automatically. So you are invited to express an interest if you see value in joining the UN Global Compact and engaging with the private sector. We are able to have a conversation with you at country level and endorse your expression of interest. That way, then the global headquarters is able then to give approval for your application to join. So we'll be able to share after this meeting just the information around how to join, what the benefits are, especially for the non-business sector, and of course the fee structure associated with that. But importantly is the benefits that come around with that participation, which for the private sector, which is the key stakeholder group that we work with, it's mostly around capacity support to entrench responsible business conduct and sustainability in their business strategies and operations. And this is because we are going into a world where doing business for purposes of profit maximization is no longer enough. There's a requirement that businesses are able to show how they are advancing, sustainable and responsible business practices. So we come in to support companies with capacity building across how to entrench human rights, labor standards, environmental issues, as well as anti-corruption in business strategy. And on top of that, and you might have seen, there's also expectations that businesses must also disclose on the impacts across this issue area. So we are also supporting them with disclosures so that they're interacting with the investor community or just the stakeholders they deal with, then they are better capacitated to do that. But for the non-business sector, primarily is to work in partnership with you. So not so much the focus being on implementation of the principles as is required of the business community, because many of you are already doing the work that we are telling the business community to do. So you engaging and joining the Global Compact is pretty much for collaboration and partnerships to be able to advance the global sustainability agenda, but also beyond just that partnership is allowing you to have access to this business community that might be looking for partnerships on the ground and who are looking also to, like I said, collaborate to scale up actions around sustainability. So it's a long answer, but just to provide clarity on what engagement looks like, and of course the obligations to join. Maybe just one last thing, there's also a requirement to report, even if you are an business participant, we require you to report every 2 years what we call a communication on engagement, which is basically our accountability mechanism that when you're in the Global Compact, we want to see how you are advancing the sustainable development agenda. And this is pretty much a communication to your stakeholders through the global platform that we have, where you can also showcase a lot of the initiatives that you're doing. And so if you're looking also at attracting, if it's the donor community, we have a repository through our global website where all your reports sit alongside those of the private sector. So it also provides credibility. If there are partners on the ground who want to work with a specific, say, community group or NGO, civil society, being part of the Global Compact also helps to build on that credibility, because then there's some level of transparency in how you operate and how you're creating impact in the society. So we'll share that with you, but we strongly encourage you to consider joining the Ocean Center. I think that will be immediately most relevant to all of you, so that we can continue the engagement in a more formalized way, and that Olive can also add you into the database, because we have a database that we are building where we can share not just the opportunities, whether they are grant-based, but also it gives us this platform to come together under one roof or one anchor to try and, of course, collaborate to solve for a lot of these challenges that we are discussing. So we'll share more information after this meeting. And we welcome you to express interest to join both the Ocean Center and potentially also the UN Global Compact. Thank you.
Maybe a question and a comment. So I'm wondering to what extent you're involved in national level processes, because some of the things we are discussing here, for example, shipping, fisheries and all that, are also discussions being held at national level, for example, in the marine spatial planning process. So it would be nice to see to what extent you've been involved in that to avoid duplication of conversations and then of processes as well, and to remain as efficient as possible. And then secondly, given that you have your eye out on businesses and supporting responsible business development in Kenya, there's actually a process at the moment to develop a blue carbon ecosystem implementation and investment plan.
where I think you would probably have a lot of input to give. So I'm wondering also if you're involved in that, and if not, maybe I can make the linkage to that.
Yeah, thank you for that question. So, for the first one, yes, we are having those conversations. Especially, we had a meeting. The global lead, Patricia Fatado, was around in Kenya for about 2 weeks. We had a meeting with Kenya Wildlife Service team, and we had conversations in this regard. And they're actually also part of the Ocean Centers Kenya, and we're having conversations with them in that regard in terms of that MPAs and marine spatial systems and more. In terms of blue carbon, sadly, I would like to mention no, we haven't done anything that regard, because I remember last year our first workshop was on shipping and ports, and it was in Mombasa, and our focus was primarily decarbonization. And IMO at that time had just brought in some new rules and regulations, so we were creating awareness to the communities regarding these regulations regarding decarbonization in terms of the exchange from fuels, the fuels they used to use, now they have to use alternative fuels and such. And then the second workshop on shipping and ports, like I mentioned, was in Lamu, and we were just trying to sort of put Lamu also on the map, because even based on our personal experience, Lamu is like a town on its own, it's like a country on its own, like it's not part of Kenya in that context. And because of that, we were trying to bridge, that workshop was primarily focused on trying to bridge that gap to make people aware it's not just Mombasa that has a port, but there's also Lamu port. So that's what that workshop was primarily trying to focus and just put Lamu on the map so that people are aware. In Kenya, we have a port in Mombasa, and also we have a port in Lamu. But I would appreciate that can be. Thank you.
Hi, this is Susanna from Kwale Recycling. Been present virtually, and I'm really happy with the conversation that's ongoing. I think there's something that seems to be key and almost left out in the discussion when we talk about blue economy in Diani, and that's the impact on the expansion of the shipping ports that's currently being done by the KPA, and the fact that the sand is being dredged in Tiwi, in Diani. This will have overriding outcomes on our fisheries, our coastal habitats, our tourism, and it doesn't seem to have come up. And maybe if there's a plan on how to keep us involved in those kind of discussions. I know we have been invited to a few EIAs as residents, as BMU, but it seems like these national priorities seem to kind of override some of the intentions we have, like in this as a blue economy sector. So I wonder if you have any comments or feedback or just a headway on how we as the community here in Kwale can brave ourselves from the impact of the expansion of the Likoni harbor. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm gonna just redirect that question to Hesbon from Kwale County, because it's more prevalent. From my end, we actually had a meeting with KPA, like I mentioned. They did mention the expansion, but they didn't mention this other aspect. So I'm glad we're here to also scale up on these gaps that are happening. So Hesbon, go ahead.
Maybe this could be answered from my office than me, because honestly speaking, KPA are dealing directly with the BMUs. They are not going through our office. So if I'm to talk about that, itaonekana kama mshene.
Okay, I think that's where Ocean Centers comes in, because we are trying to engage not just the government, but also we have KMA, KPA, all of them. We're gonna sit under one table, which is not something that exists, and it's quite unique to us. And I'm sure also having sitting on the same table with the BMU representative as well, to listen to them from a ground perspective. So that's where Ocean Centers comes in. Okay, I see there's another question here.
I think to me this issue is very critical, because the same applied to Lamu. Lamu, the fishermen were being even a little bit few cents, 240 shilling for them to shift from that fishing ground leave the port to do their projects. The same now apply to Islongokundu, I think, if I'm not wrong. Now they're extending the port. Now the BMU, they're going to be given that few cents. They leave that fishing area. Now, what we're supposed to do, I think it's high time that we need to do economic evaluation of our ocean. So when we sit at the round table, now we can now negotiate for our fishermen, because always they're being mistreated. Always they're being mistreated, and these fishermen, they normally depend on that small, that artisanal for the daily basis. But if you give somebody 240,000, that's just a spend for the day. At the end of the day, where will he go? Like Lamu, until now, they have been given 240,000 as a compensation, and that one was being given after they went to court. And now that they're supposed to be, the KPA is supposed to now to procure equipment. Now there is a tug of war between the fishermen vis-a-vis the KPA, because the fishermen, they don't need those equipments, the big boats and so on and so forth. But now KPA and that task force are fighting. They want to implement that equipment procurement, because at the end of the day, they're looking at the kickback. Whenever you do that procurement, you also get the kickback. So now, let's take Lamu as a land lesson. Now we use to assist the Dongokundu community, because the BMUs also, they don't know the value of the resources. The governance is the main problem in BMUs. I think the fisheries officer can concur with me. Governance is the biggest issue. They just look for small coins and that's all. They don't know the value of the resources. That's the problem.
Okay, thank you. I think that's why we are here today, to listen to such input. Oh, Judy has something to mention. Okay.
My perspective on that point, and thanks so much also for the reflection shared. I think it's a critical question because Kenya is on a path of economic growth. So we have a lot of course, projects, infrastructure related, that are also having a direct impact on our natural resources. We've seen it also in Nairobi, and you followed the debate even around the national parks and the expansion of a lot of those key infrastructure. And I think those of you who traveled all the way to Kisumu, even just within that Naivasha belt, very beautiful trees that, have come down. That entire landscape has changed. And a lot of what we are going to face as a country is trade. There are trade-offs between the development that has to happen and also how we balance not just livelihoods, but also the protection of our natural environment. So it's not a perfect answer, but to say that I think as citizens and as interested groups, it's important that we also engage robustly, especially in this public participation for us. So the speaker mentioned like the environmental impact assessments. Let's make sure that they're not used to sort of like rubber stamp what must happen, but we need to strike a balance that yes, we want to see the development, but at the same time, it should not come at the expense of people or the livelihoods and the environment itself. So making sure that we are engaging in those platforms and processes to really get our voices heard, but also to mention that a lot of these projects are being financed externally, and the financier also has obligations towards balancing all these aspects. So they're not just pumping in money into government to support these things at whatever cost. So in some instances, and this is just to share from a personal perspective, and a recent case we had to deal with even at community level, in one of the residential associations, we had, of course, the highway that is crossing, I think funded by the World Bank, James Gishuru Reroni. One of the things that residents of a particular area noted was that They were being told you have to drive 7 kilometers out to be able to find your turning all the way back into town. Yet the turning was right outside your house. And so they engaged very quickly to even check with World Bank directly. Can we see the plans, the original plans of how this road was going to be constructed? And for sure, those provisions were there because part of their standards require for that. It shouldn't affect you as a stakeholder or a user of that facility unduly. But because we also know the context we operate in, there are a lot of shortcuts. So somebody had, of course, taken advantage of that situation and had, now diverted the plans that people would have to drive. And we had to put, Kenha on task. And out of that initiative by a few residents, we were given our turning. So it's just to say, as citizens, we also have to engage, very closely around some of these processes. Yes, like I said, we want to see the development happening, but we also have to be mindful of the impacts that some of these initiatives are having on people. And there are ways to also negotiate constructively with government to also hear what their plans are, even around mitigation. Sometimes we may not find perfect answers. And like I said, there are trade-offs, but there are ways they can also try and soften the impact of a lot of these development initiatives. So just wanted to add on to that point, not to say there is a perfect answer, but it's the reality we are in. So it's really about just a balancing act.
Indeed. I will let now Mariam come in and take over and just take us through the next phase. Thank you very much.
So you're going to be given the questions, and through the questions, your main task is to identify the gaps across the 4 sectors, whereby we mentioned earlier, fishing and aquaculture, shipping and ports, finance and investment, offshore renewables. And then also the second question, it's all about safety and risk analysis, about offshore conditions, weather access, infrastructure, worker safety and community safety, policy and coordination. I want the gaps. The gaps, it's where regulation, enforcement, institutional coordination, and then also in terms of financing and investment, what are the barriers, the SMEs challenges that are facing, especially in the community, and then what makes projects investment ready. So last but not least, we want you to develop an actionable recommendation because this is very critical. So in your groups, kindly, I want you to have a rapporteur. Okay, who will come and present. So you'll choose a chairperson and a rapporteur who will come in to present.
Hi everyone, this is group one. Will make it snappy. Where I sleep, my group members ably will come to my rescue. So, question number one: what problems or safety issues have you seen or heard about in shipping and port activities? So, one is overcrowded ferries. I think this doesn't need explanations. Accidents such as drowning, Tongwe ferry, and other incidences. Emergency response is very slow. I think we have all had situations where if we had a backup or a standby rescue team would have rescued lives, including the Mtongwe ferry. Actually, the Mtongwe ferry is just 100 meters, not even 100 meters. It is within the presence of Kenya Navy, and so many people perished. And Navy, one of the responsibilities of Kenya Navy is to support such incidences or accidents. So lack of enforcement measures. I think we've talked about enforcement. Enforcement is given by lip service, which doesn't help. A governance deficit in terms of policy framework, but also in terms of enforcement, in terms of maybe recommendations and motivation for other players to do their jobs better. Untrained personnel. This is also an issue. I understand at the Kenya ferry, we have some of these places have been used as places for political mileages. I know there was a time when Kenya Ports Authority, more than 600 young people were taken by a politician just so that they can have jobs, not because they were qualified. Kenya Ferry is one of other dump sites for politicians where you go to their households and they promise you a job, and the job is for trained people. Unapelekwa tu huko. You start as a wash person, and then later unaenda kudirect magari without even going for a course. Dredging and disposal of garbage within the precincts of the ocean ecosystem. So these are some of the challenges that we have seen. Question number two is, what can be done quickly to make shipping and port activities safer and better? So one of our recommendations is a training proper skills to operators and users. So even users need to understand why they are being cordoned off some spaces, because sometimes mtu anahisi tu mbona unamnyima kwenda mahali fulani. They don't understand why. So it's important even for them to be educated in terms of the risks and vulnerabilities of let's say operational sensitivity and security. Sensitization, this goes across board. Even the enforcement officers, the operators, and users. Coordination between ferry and ports authority. At this moment, Kenya Ferry has been swallowed by Kenya Ports Authority, but I am a bit pained why Kenya Ferry still operates as if it was an entity that is independent from the Kenya Ports Authority. If Kenya Ports Authority is able to fund so many investments, why can't it fund its baby, that is Kenya Ferry, and also coordinate it? Use of technology versus the use of archaic systems, because technology is here and it guides us well. We need to embrace it. Another recommendation is tourism activities, training and sensitization. Tourism is very good, very, very, very good. It's one of the highest income earners in the country. However, it also comes with its own baggage, including, pedophiles, teenage pregnancies, sex tourism, and all that kind of stuff. and also other unaccommodated behavior. So very important to train not just the two operators, but also share information and the cautions to those who are bringing their dollars. Proper response systems. Of course, this is about the backup systems and standby rescue systems. Patrols from coast guards on a daily basis. Yes, for the last, I think, 4 or 5 years, we've had the introduction of coast guards. But to what extent have they, managed to reduce? To what extent have they reduced the incidences and accidents? I think this kind of data will also be important to push and say, you are good, but then you need to pull up your socks in this way or that other way. Synergies on highly accessed areas. Increased first aid responses. I think this also goes hand in hand with the information I've talked about a Coast Guard. Question 3 is, what skills or training do workers and boat operators need to improve safety and jobs in this sector? Foremost is first aid training. This is an area that is highly susceptible to incidences and accidents. So any person coming, I think we need to have a residual training, a first aid training for anybody who is venturing into either fishing or boat operation, even BMU members. Everyone has to have a basic first aid training. Another one is, can we infuse indigenous knowledge? Because the elderly people understand the tides more than some of us who have to log into a system to understand the tide. So these old men understand the tide by counting days and whatever. So even as we are getting into giving the information around tide adaptation and all that, we should also bring the old knowledge so that young people can benefit from such and be able to properly plan their activities. Conflict management skills for workers and operators, very important. The beach area is an area that has a lot of people of varied capacities and empowerment levels. So conflict is a daily routine. So it's important to empower these operators with conflict management skills so that conflict do not go beyond conflict and become other things. Very important. But also mediation skills to avoid, to keep on bonding people because they are working in the same ecosystem. If they conflict and then they are unattended, definitely they are going to create subgroups. Those subgroups will be conflicting against each other and the working environment will be very toxic. What long-term changes should the government or companies make to improve ports and shipping in this area? One is enhanced enforcement. My brother from the fisheries, I think the song is to enhance uncompromising enforcement so that when you do your work, you'd be protected to an extent that you cannot be vilified for a very right and procedural decision that you make. Very important. Another one is investment in new ferries and declare the old ferries as unworthy, and also ensure serviceability and replenishment of our vehicles. I think we should, just like with the vehicles, for those who have been to Ethiopia and other places, you find very old vehicles on the road. Very old vehicles on the road carrying people. And we're like, kwani tuko wapi? But here in Kenya, at least you can see gari zetu ni zile ambazo zinaonekana ziko na hadhi kiasi. We can do the same for the ferries and say maybe a ferry cannot operate for more than 10 years. After 10 years, it be declared obsolete and another one is brought. We have ferries that I have seen even when I was still a toddler. My first trip to Mombasa, I still see the same ferry today. So another option is privatizing the ferry activities, and so that we do not just have the Kenya Ferry Channel, but we can also have other players, plying across the Mamangina Drive. There's another private company. Liwatoni, there's another private company. Unaweza lipa 500, lakini usivyogwe viatu, usichafuliwe kama unaenda interview. Say, I'm going to pay 500 because nikienda ile abure nita. These spaces must be opened so that we can have options. One biggest poison of development is monopoly. The moment we cling on monopoly, we are killing development. Another one is reinstate the bridge and the ferry. For those who have experience with the Luatoni Bridge, that time there were better dynamics around the ferry, but then the bridge was closed for no other technical reason that maybe political engineering. So that's the only alternative to the ferry. Can we bring it back? Another one is attract investors for ship making and provision of ship making yards. Because I'm sure if we invited these guys from the Middle East to apatie yard, tuseme mtatengeza ship zenu hapa na ferry zenu, even the free samples of the ferries tungepewa sisi bure kama tuna pesa ya kununua. You get. So at least we'll benefit from a variety of options because now we'll have these people who are friendly to us and they're making a kill in terms of business within our area. Last but not least is feasibility studies on operations so that we have data. Every time we are talking about an issue, we back it up with data so that it looks serious and well attended. Thank you very much. My group may add some more.
So it's okay. I just wanted to add on the question number 2 on the sensitization part. I'm sure all of us have gone to the ferry and sometimes you just wonder, mbona ile screen in advertise shule badala ingenionyesha maneno jinsi nitaingia kwa ferry. Like, why can't we have those synergies there? Why can't we use the screens at the ferry to provide safety measures, just advertise there and even inside the ferries? Because sometimes we're in the ferry, unatafuta life jacket, kumbe iko huko juu, na hata uioni. So things like that so that we have a safe shipping industry or ferrying activity.
Nice, group 1. That's a very good presentation. As I had mentioned earlier, this is a participatory and inclusive workshop. All voices matters, and especially the community's perspective information. So kindly make sure that usileme mwingine akitoa maoni yake. Sawa?
Good morning. Good afternoon, sorry. Okay, good afternoon. My name is Sharif Injamu, and I'll be presenting for Group 2. So for Group 2, we were tackling the finance and investment. And our case study was access to money and investment in the blue economy. So for our context, was many people and businesses in fishing, tourism, shipping, and new energy projects need money to grow. However, it's often hard to get loans or investments. So investors also worry about risk and safety. So the first question was, what challenges do people face when trying to get money or funding for blue economy activities? And for Group 2, these were our thoughts. Number 1, for question 1, we thought of the first challenge was most of the community businesses, they are not investor ready. This is in terms of a lack of or how will I put it? Unfunctional financial system or unacceptable financial system that can really help access of these funds. They lack record keeping and proper human resource managers. So most of the time they prefer grant funding opposed to payback loans. Point number 2, so we came up of there's lack of skills, knowledge, and expertise to do application for grants. We also thought seasonality in income generation of business to help secure loans. You realize
When it comes to businesses, there's low season, there's high season, especially to tourism sector, and also there's small fisher folks. So well, in seasons where in low seasons, the income generation is very low or sometimes none, or especially for those that are at a very low level. So this one will somehow disadvantage them in terms of access of these resources. When it comes to security and the risky issue, some of these loans, they really need proper security as a requirement to secure them. So this one also counts as one of the challenges. There's also issue of some of the individuals who are running businesses, and they have really good potentials, but due to lack of financial history, they don't have documented financial history. It puts them at a disadvantaged position to access funds or financial support. There's also an issue of group versus individual challenge, where most of this investment and financial support, we tend to focus so much on group rather than individuals. And I will give example of some of campsite projects that have been happening along our Kenyan coastline. So you'll see the most preference was on groups than individuals. So this one also counts as a challenge when we focus on people as inclusive. Number two, the question was, what can be done quickly to help small businesses, youth, and women access funding or support? Our point number one was there's high needs to offer financial literacy, provision of startups, creation of workshop platforms, for example, the one that you are in, the ocean centers. And this workshop will create a linkage or networking opportunities with people who can support these businesses or projects that are going on. There's decentralization of this resource access, and we gave example supporting a VSLA or groups at a very low level in terms of hierarchy, so that to make sure that it makes it an easy process. We are all facing the burden of bureaucracy when it comes to approval of some of grants, or rather funds that we need to access in time. So we thought one of the point we wish maybe can be done quickly is tackling the bureaucracy burden to review that to give a solution to the challenges that are coming up. Another example of what can be done quickly is a creation of a partnership model, where we give an example as a fish processing companies can buy vessels from the local communities. Number three, the question was, what training or support do people need to better manage money or prepare investment? On this question, we measured so much on offering of trainings, and we were focusing on the following areas: financial records, bookkeeping, budgeting, saving and investment, grant application writing, business and marketing, pitching of business ideas, and networking. And number four, the question was, what should banks, government, or investors do in the long term to support more investment in the blue economy? We thought of coming up with blue bonds. These are investments specifically for blue economy sector, and this kind of a model has been successful in countries like Seychelles. There's a creation of tailored facilities of loans for specific groups of people.
This is to address the earlier raised challenge of seasonality. So banks or funding agencies can come up with a facility that can really put in consideration of this kind of challenge. There's creation of sustainable subsidies by the government, and another point is enhancement of market access. When it comes to market access as well, there is an issue of licensing challenges, bureaucracy management burden when it comes to trying to access the international market lanes. So we thought of when you look into long term, is an issue that we also have to look at. The last but not least is a bottom-up approach, where we can do a co-creation of solution between government, banks, investor, and community, so that we can really come up with solutions that really tackle the issue or the reality of what is happening on the ground. Thank you so much for your time, and I will welcome any question. Thank you.
For group 3, we were tackling offshore energy development along the coast. And the first question was, what safety concerns or problems could happen with offshore energy projects? So from our group, the first thing we came up with is operational risk when it comes to navigation, where there can be collisions as well as restricted access to fishing grounds which have been pre-existing. So that brings in the operational challenge. And then we came up with the environmental and ecosystem risks. And this comes with the disturbance of habitats which are existing within the sea. And there are several kinds of sea living creatures, which include sharks, whales, which are usually affected by noise pollution, as well as the chemical leaks that comes with it. So that's what we came up with that. And then the third thing is safety for fishers and workers within the ocean, which leads to poor visibility as well as lack of awareness of restricted areas. For the socioeconomic part, there's the loss of income as well as come for fishermen when it comes to the fishing grounds that have been taken for development of the offshore infrastructure. For the second question, we're looking at what can be done to quickly reduce the risks and improve safety for everyone at the sea. The first thing we came up with is for the government to issue early warning systems for things like bad weather. If there is storms, the government should work on that. And then we have clear marking of offshore sites. It should be demarcated to show that this is an offshore site that is not supposed to be accessed by just anyone. And then there's the setup of emergency response protocols that should be done by the government. And then there's the safety gear for everyone who is going to the sea, ensuring that everyone is having a life jacket or they're having radios to ensure that they can be able to reach back from the sea if they are having any issue. And then we have involving local fishers and leaders in planning and communication. For the third question, we are looking at what training or information do workers, fishers, and communities need about offshore energy projects. And with this, we're looking at the
safety when it comes to navigation, and this is safe navigation around the energy infrastructure. The use of GPS and digital tools for mapping the fishing zones. As you know, there are very many fishing zones within the sea, and different fishers usually go to the different fishing areas or fishing grounds that they have demarcated for themselves. And then we have the marine safety and emergency response. Yeah. For the fourth option is the financial literacy and alternative livelihoods. When it comes to the community, the trainings should be done. Since some of the fishing grounds, as I said, might be areas where the infrastructure, the options of infrastructure has been set up. There should be training for alternative livelihood for those fishers who usually go to such like areas. For the fourth question, we were looking at what long-term actions should the government and companies take to make offshore energy safe and fair for everyone. And for this, we're looking at the policy and governance, where the government is supposed to strengthen the policies and regulations to ensure that everybody is compliant. We're looking at the compensation mechanisms of the affected fishermen or fishers, since some of the fishing grounds, as I said, might be areas where the infrastructure has been set. We're looking also at the revenue sharing and community benefit programs, which the government should also enforce. Then there's formal inclusion of BMUs in decision making, especially when coming up with areas where they're choosing to set up this important infrastructure for offshore energy. The sixth is to integrate multiple ocean use models. The multiple ocean use models involves having artificial reef around such like infrastructure, among other things. So the seventh action is to develop long-term blue finance frameworks when it comes to either the fishermen as well as those directly affected by offshore infrastructure. The eighth action is for the government to ensure that there is collaboration between institutions like Kenya Marine and Fisheries Research Institute for research and monitoring for ecosystem health. The ninth action is to establish strong safeguards to protect reef ecosystems in coral reef areas, because some of this offshore infrastructure can be set up in areas where there is coral reefs. So such like things should be safeguarded. And the last one is to ensure that there is transparency and accountability when it comes to setting up this kind of infrastructure for offshore energy. And this we're talking about the contracts, we're talking about the environmental data that's collected from such like areas. We're talking about the revenue flows, as well as enforcement of anti-corruption safeguards. Thank you. If my team has anything to add.
I think on the planning, we say that community be involved in early planning, not after the decision being made.
So, okay, thank you for the insights and the presentation. As we had mentioned earlier, that we're here to validate the findings, fill in the gaps, and also do develop actionable recommendation. So, without wasting any other time, because I can see you were supposed to close the workshop by 1, but I can see we're past 11 minutes. So I'm just inviting 2 people for any insights they have, any reflection, any comment. I don't want to lock anyone out. Now I want to invite Olive for the closing reflection. Karibu, Olive.
First of all, I wanted to appreciate all of you and all of your insights, especially in the group sessions, because that's the ultimate goal based on your information, like I mentioned. Now, on my part, I'm going to do a national report, and then that will be due by next week, Friday. So I'm going to pull a Christmas miracle and do a draft report under 1 week by pulling some all-nighters, I'm sure. But it's what I'm passionate about. So I love what I'm doing right now. So it should come easily to me. But once that report is ready, that's gonna be the first draft. For those who fill the stakeholder expression of interest form, I've seen some people have already sent me emails, some have already taken WhatsApp. Thank you so much. And for those who want to take their time to process the information, you're well, it's within your power to do that, and you can always send it to me later. But for those who feel comfortable, you can always fill it and just leave it on the table. When we are clearing the room, I will pick it up and then I'll reach out to you in the next 2 weeks. Because next week but one, because once you join Ocean Centers Kenya as a member, like we mentioned, the benefits that you're gonna get are those ones, and you're going to receive the first draft of the report, and we'll have, I think, about 2 weeks from all of you members who are based in Diani, Lamu, Kilifi, Nairobi, and Mombasa. Those who have been attending our workshops, especially those who have registered as members, will have to give their insights as well. If there's something of essential that we are leaving out of this report, we are going to take that into consideration. And then thereafter, from May, there will be a safety committee that will be coming in, that will be having technical discussions to now fine tune the report further. And this will run for about a month or so. And then from, I believe, June, I don't think we'll be launching the report during the Ocean Conference, because in terms of timeliness, we really want to be as accurate and as inclusive as possible, because we don't want to leave any voice or voices of the unseen or the unheard left behind. So that's from me. I wanted to say thank you for coming all the way, and thank you for welcoming us for the first time as Ocean Centers Kenya to Diani. And we're looking forward to future engagements and extending beyond Diani and going to other areas within Kwale County. Thank you.
I would like to sincerely thank you, like the way Olive has said. Thank you for your insight. Thank you for your recommendation, and also the meaningful discussion that we have had today.
In today's workshop, I would say that fishing and aquaculture stood out the most, hence it was taking part of the primary component of the first half of the workshop. Fishing and aquaculture is an aspect of livelihood for the common folks, especially the beach management units and women groups and fisher folks who actually go into the sea and try and get this source of livelihood. But of uniqueness that I found out through stakeholder engagement is that there are also other aspects of the blue economy that are quite predominant with Diani culture, such as turtle watch conservation. We have coral reef restoration and other aspects.
The energy of today's workshop, I'll say it is really amazing, because you can hear the community aspect, especially whereby they're bringing the reality on what is happening in the ground. One thing that really stood out for me, it's about the culture, whereby people are really hooked, and also whereby there's a lot of political interference in the blue economic sector. So I think these are things that we really need to deliberate on and also have a discussion on, because it is really killing this sector if we don't come with intervention that can really stop, so that and also that creates barriers in this sector.
Our community has been marginalized, has been mistreated, because a good example, if you look, you see that among the issue that Ocean Center and Global Impact are addressing is the issue of ports, like the Mombasa port and Lamu ports. Now you see our local community are being mistreated. Now, like you see now, we have Lamu port. Lamu port has, the fishermen have been affected, the environment has been affected, the ocean has been affected. But in return, what the community are getting is very minimal. At the same time, look at Mombasa port, and now expanding the port. Now the expansion will affect the fishermen. The expansion will affect degrading the environment. Like now they are harvesting the sand from Tiwi to Mombasa port to expand that port. And if you look at that, maybe there's no plan for compensation, and there's no compensation for degradation of environment. I don't think that there is a compensation, rather than maybe something that it to heal, but not compensation.
Living adjacent the ocean. So anything to do with ocean safety, climate stability, fishing methodologies, I would say, new strategies, new technology in the fishing industry is very important to us. But most importantly, every year we conduct what we call Diani Beach Zero Plastic Pollution Festival, which is a festival bringing communities, partners, youth, women, and schools to create a movement building towards making Diani Beach safer, cleaner, and more attractive. So this conversation today really contributed towards that. And good thing is it's coming in June. So 2 months from now, we will get more insights into, creating that movement building even better.
We're trying to empower them so that they can be self-sustainable, so that they can ensure that they will have good resource use of our resources, and make sure that they produce more, so that we can have more production from our resource. When we talk about occupational safety, that is the first thing that we look at, because without the safety of the fisherman, there can be no blue economy. So if the fisherman is protected, that thing we know that it can improve our strategy for the blue economy.
The most thing that stood out for me is that the fishing areas, whereby I saw that we have a lot of work to do on, because there's overfishing. And if we don't work on our beach management unit, and also if we don't train and also capacity build our fishermen, there's a lot of things that needs to be done. So us as stakeholders, us as government representative, us as private sectors, we need to put an enforcement, and also we need to capacity build these fishermen so that we can stop the overfishing in our blue economy sector.
In terms of women and youth representation, it was quite clear based on the attendees of the workshop that their voices were quite predominant in terms of the questions, not just the in-person attendees, but also the online attendees. They were quite engaging, and they're also highlighting some significant aspects that were even beyond the 4 action areas of Ocean Centers Kenya. And these were also forming part of the conversations in the room, because considering we had government representatives, community-based organizations, and other stakeholders all in one room, sitting under one table and having these conversations, and just tackling solutions and bringing up recommendations, which will finally form the final reports for the Ocean Centers Kenya.
This particular workshop, it has really tried to balance the women, because I can see we have even a female representative from WWF, whereby she was really taking notes, especially in the fishing and aquaculture, whereby we have a really a very big gap towards it.
For blue economy, I think what is needed more or less is information. In fact, the government need to do a lot of sensitization, awareness, and the local community at the grassroots must be engaged fully for them to know what is blue economy, at the same time the benefit, and the local community should be the first beneficiary comparing to anybody else.
When we get partners like the Ocean Center, we are very happy, because they can help us work on help us improve our BMUs, our blue economy strategy, and also help fund our BMUs to make sure that the blue economy can be a better department. Our fisheries can be a better department for our local communities.
Among the one of the recommendations that whatever the resolution, the discussion that will be deliberated in this workshop today, I will look forward for full implementation of the deliberations, because normally in Kenya we are good in planning, but we are not good in implementation. So now we have to shift from that tradition now to the other tradition of implementation, because we do have good plans, we do have good policy, but when it comes to implementation, it's a nightmare.
Having come from just Lamu last week, having held the 7th workshop and looking back at the other workshops that we held in Mombasa, Nairobi, and Kilifi, I would say from a Coast-Syrian perspective, the cultural context is slightly the same but more or less different, because in terms of engagement we've actually extended towards women and youths, and this is quite a unique aspect that we are kind of bringing in terms of involving all the representatives from all these different counties and just engaging them at that high level, but also communicating to them at a community level and trying to integrate their voices, especially the voices of the unseen and the unheard. So this is one of our mandates basically in terms of putting safety at the heart of sustainability.
So the workshop has been instrumental in helping us identify what are the priority areas that need investments when it comes to, of course, growing our blue economy. For us at the Global Compact and the Ocean Center, success looks like a shared ownership and vision of what we need to do collectively together going forward. As I mentioned, we've identified those low-hanging fruits that we can already run with in terms of solutions to address the safety issues, the opportunities, for long-term engagements in solving for a lot of the systemic issues. What we are encouraged about is there's a lot of goodwill. There's also a lot of appetite for partnering, and so we're looking to, of course, tap into this as an early win out of the engagements we've had with the different stakeholders across this coastal belt.